Hello, friends. It is a new day in the workroom, and we are reviewing RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 8, episode, I believe, 9, the roast of Carson Kressley. I don't know if that's the official name, but I know they roasted Carson Kressley. And I'm excited for that. I love Carson. I kind of didn't remember that the roast was a thing we had to do. And I guess I'm like feeling like, where's the finale? Like, when are we doing that? But I'm fine with us doing another challenge. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. We'll talk about that. Obviously, there's not much to really go over in terms of like stuff they talked about in the workroom. They did the rehearsals. I know we talk about sometimes like the way that the episode is edited and whether like there was like a leading edit. Like they were trying to say, well, somebody might do bad, but then they ended up doing well. I don't know if I really saw that until like towards the middle of the episode, but I'm gonna get into it when we get there. I'm gonna honestly jump right into the challenge then, just so we can kind of like talk about it all together. Oh, my mouth is so dry. Okay, so we get to the challenge. Alexis goes first. I guess we could have talked about the order. I didn't really think too much about the order either. So like Alexis won last week, and so she was able to like pick the order that the queens went in. I didn't really think too much into it, and I don't really know like what thoughts I had about it. She did choose herself to go first, which I think is typically quite a challenge. Like going first and going last, the queens typically say is a challenge, and I can imagine that. But she wanted to go first. I think she thought that she was just gonna like hit it out the park, which is typically her thought process. Like she just feels like she's gonna do super well, which is great for her. But whether she did super well, we'll talk about now. When she came out, I did note that she looked great. I thought she looked beautiful. I don't know. I'm just like I don't know. I don't know. Like when I see her, like this episode in particular, like when she's come out in the runway, I just think she looked great. So that's the first thing that I literally wrote down. Alexis looked great. But in terms of like her roast, I just feel like she did fine. Like I just don't even really want to regurgitate it. Like I've been saying it ever since the beginning. It's just like she never really super like pushes it there for me. And even in the rehearsals, like when she was doing her lines, it just felt like even the like tone that she was using and the delivery, it just I don't know. Like it was very Alexis, of course, which I feel like everything she does is very Alexis, but it just doesn't feel like it always goes the extra mile to meet the challenge, but it's always Alexis. So I guess that I'll give her points for that, but the performance itself was just fine. Like it wasn't hilarious. I don't really know. I'm sure that there were some jokes. Maybe I could have written down jokes that I thought were funny, but I didn't. And if they're not coming to mind right now, I guess it's just not really that big of a deal. It has been a couple days, so I'll say that. But still, like, I mean, nothing really super stood out for me with the whole Alexis thing. But she did fine. And I thought that, I don't think anybody did bad. I'll start by saying that. She did fine. Next, we have Jessica Wilde. I think that she was hilarious. I've noted, like, Jessica's way funnier than I think that she knows that she is, or like, I don't know, but she's way funnier than I expected her to be. And even just like seeing her do things, you can tell she's committed. And then like even seeing her get ready for the challenge, you could tell that she really wanted to do well and she was preparing. My only biggest note, which I struggled to write down because I didn't want to be super critical, was that she was reading like directly from the cards pretty much the whole time. So that was the thing for me. But I thought that she was super funny. And typically, like in other seasons, like they read the girls for like being in the cards, but I didn't really hear that note unless I missed it. But yeah, she just kind of read from the cards the whole time. But I thought she had some really funny jokes, and I enjoyed hers. I think honestly, now that I'm thinking about the lineup, I think like as it got like further on, it got funnier. I could be mistaken, but I kind of feel like the order that they went in, it was just like least funniest to funniest. It just kind of ended up being that way. So there was just such a build. Whereas I feel like the roast should have been like, I don't know, I think it should have been stacked differently. But again, we'll talk about that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I typically do. Candy came out, and I actually wrote Candy was with the cards, right? Because I was looking at it and she was reading from the cards. Like at some points, Candy would get her jokes out and they would be funny. The delivery was pretty funny. And you could tell that she felt confident because she did well in that last roast that she had done on her season, and we just know that she's funny. So we knew that she was gonna do well. I knew that she was gonna do well. So I feel like she was confident. But there were certain jokes where she was literally like having to look down and read the entire joke. And then whereas there were other ones that she was just kind of like spitting out. So I think that she did well. I think that she was funny. I actually like noted her because I'm like, okay, in comparison to Alexis, what would I say? And I would give her an 8. She's the only one I actually gave a number grade for, but it's because I literally was trying to like say, not Alexis, I'm sorry, Jessica. She's the one that I literally was trying to compare to Jessica. Like, okay, if I was going to read Jessica for being in the cards, how do I feel that Candy did? So I would give Candy an 8 out of 10. And then Jessica, because of the cards, I would give Jessica like a 7.5. But I think that Jessica, I may have to say Jessica was funnier than Candy outside of the whole card thing. Then we get to Jimbo. And last but not least, obviously, and I feel like Jimbo was the funniest. I know that there is some debate out there for this, but we'll get to that as well. I feel like Jimbo was the funniest. Like I didn't feel any type of way about her doing the Joan Rivers thing. That's the part of the edit that I thought was weird, and I don't know if there's anybody to like blame for that. But I know like when she first brought it up, the girls were kind of like, eh. And then the edit kind of went with that, like, should she do the Joan Rivers thing? And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's not going to be an issue at all. Like, she did it on the Snatch Game. They talk about it all the time. Like, this is like the 4th time they've talked about it this season. It obviously was a hit. I just don't see it being an issue for her doing that. And I've never myself heard the note that the judges would be upset about people doing a character for the roast. So I just thought that that was a pointless edit. I guess they needed some type of like drama set slash like suspense in there. And I think we can all admit, like maybe it was a little bit too early before, but I think we can all admit now that Jimbo is, let's call her a front runner. And so I guess maybe we needed that suspense, like, ooh, maybe this will be the chance that Jimbo flops, but it just felt super forced. And it was just like, we know this isn't going to be an issue. Like, it just didn't, like, at every point that they brought it up, I'm like, guys, like, come on, stop trying to make fetch happen. Like, Jimbo's not going to flop. It's going to be good. They're not going to read her for doing Joan Rivers. Like, it's not going to happen. So, whatever. So that edit was annoying just because it was pointless. And, it kind of, like, feels like the producers know that she's going to win. So they're like, well, let's add as much suspense as we can so that we don't get to the end of this season and it's like the winner is obvious. But I think that we will have to go back to episode 1 to fix that problem, to be honest. No shade to the other girls, but, if you've been watching the reviews, you know how I feel. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like Jimbo was the funniest. Like, I think that her delivery felt like the other roasts that I've seen on other seasons. Like, it felt effortless, it felt funny, and the way that it was being delivered, it was quick. And I feel like every part of it had a joke in it. So, that's how I feel. Whereas some of the other girls, there were some lulls in it, and part of it was funny, part of it was not. So I think that Jimbo was the funniest. I would say that Jessica Wilde was a close second for sure, but I don't agree with the argument that she should have won. I know that there's like a debate where it's like, well, this win should have went to Jessica, and I don't agree. Like, she was in her cards the whole time, and her delivery just wasn't as seamless as Jimbo's was for a roast. I feel like if you watch like the best roast that like Drag Race has had, which I couldn't point out to you because I'm terrible at season numbers and episode numbers, so I apologize. But like, if you can think back to a really good roast, you just think about like the delivery of the ladies. Even look at last season's All Stars. Look at All Star 7. You look at the delivery of the ladies and how quickly it goes, and it just feels seamless. Like, I didn't get that feel from any of the ladies really, but Jimbo. To be knocking my mic over. To be honest, like, I only got that from Jimbo. So I think that she did the best. But again, I think that Jessica was definitely a close second, but not close enough for me to give her the win. Even when I was watching it, before Jimbo came out. I'm like, yeah, Jessica could win for sure. But once Jimbo got into like her second or third joke, I'm like, this is funnier. Like she's the winner. That's just it. Just was what it was. I get that Jimbo has 4 wins now, and I'm jumping ahead, and it's crazy to hear that. I agree, but she does. So it just kind of is what it is. Then we get into the runways. The category is Snow Bunny, which was, I'm having an issue with some of these runway categories this season because they're so ambiguous. Like, what is that supposed to mean? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Whatever. Cute. I guess, interpret it how you want. Again, loose interpretation runway category. So, whatever, fine. So first we have Alexis Michelle. So I liked this. I actually really liked it. Even when I wrote down in my notes, I was just like, Alexis looks amazing on the runway. But I wish I understood the hat more. Like I do. Like I see it. Like it looks great. The silhouette looks great. I love the color. I like the hair. I like the makeup. Like it gives me something different. Like it feels like she pushed the envelope, what I've been begging Alexis to do this whole time. So it feels like she did something different. The only thing is just like I don't super understand the bag and I don't super understand the hat. And those are very nitpicky critiques, right? Like, I just didn't get the hat. I think it was the way that she kind of walked out with it and she was carrying it. So it was just kind of confusing because it just looked like a little like sleeve with the ball at the end in one arm. And then she's got this huge duffel bag in the other. So that was confusing. So the hat really didn't connect for me until she turned around. And even still, I mean, I get it's like a big, oversized, maybe like Santa hat or whatever. I don't know. It's cute. I don't know. I think it could have been something different, maybe. But I like the look overall. The hat and the duffel are just kind of confusing to me. But otherwise, she looks great. Jessica Wilde, to me, looked absolutely gorgeous as well. I just wish that the puffer coat had a little bit more puffer. Like it just looked a little flat to me. But I really did like the look. I think the blue looks gorgeous on her. I love her makeup. I like how the sparkly, glittery blue makeup was matching the goggles because they were sparkly and glittery. I just, I think she looks great. I guess the hair isn't like amazing. She could have did something different with that, but it's fine. But yeah, I think my critique is really just this puffer coat. It's just not really puffy. So I think if it had been more like grand, I would have loved this more. But I think it's a good look. I think it's more than fine. I like it. So it's cute on her. I think it looks good. Paired with her, I guess I'm thinking now, like paired with her performance in the challenge. If Jimbo wasn't there, she could have gotten a top with this look and with that performance. But I think that Jimbo did better. Next, we have Candy Muse. This wasn't my fave on Candy. I'm finding myself saying that a lot. And I guess I want to interpret that more. It is so loud outside right now. We got fireworks. We got sirens. Welcome to Brooklyn. But yeah, with Candy, like, it just wasn't my favorite. But she looked fine, at the end of the day. It just... And I also was kind of stuck on the moon boot. Because I'm just like... I don't know. Like, it's not a flat, but it's not a heel either. So I kind of was, I don't know, the look just feels like it needed to have been elevated a little bit more. I think she looked good. Like, she looked good in it. But I don't know. I just wish maybe if she would have had a long coat like Jessica did, then it would have gave me a little bit more. And I wouldn't have been like so focused on the moon boot. Like, she's got this short coat on and barely any clothes. So then it's just like the moon boot almost becomes one of the like central focuses, which maybe is what she wanted, but I don't like it because it's not a heel. So I'm like, I'm focusing on it for the wrong reasons. But maybe if there was like a longer coat and it was super puffy, then I would have, or like super furry. I don't know what this material is supposed to be. It's giving fur, I think. If it was just like more grand, then I think I would have liked this look a lot more. But she looks fine. Last we have Jimbo. I think she looked gorgeous at the end of the day. And I think that this, just for me, feels like something different on her. It's not extremely different, right? But I think it shows versatility because her makeup is a lot more simple and less like clown aesthetic like she typically does. It's almost a glamour look, I would say. But I didn't notice that she didn't have earrings on until I watched the pit stop. So you do have to take some points away from that. I like the hair. Like, I wouldn't expect to see this hair on Jimbo. It seems like a lot of queens are doing this hair now, where like it's kind of just like styled and slick, and then they kind of rhinestone it. So I wouldn't expect to see this on Jimbo because that's kind of like the new glamour that the girls are doing. So I feel like, yeah, like this, I like this look a lot, and I think it looks great on her. I think she looks gorgeous. I wish she had on an earring. I think it would have elevated the look more. But other than that, I love it. None of these looks really give me Snow Bunny, but that's because I don't know what a Snow Bunny look is supposed to give. But it all gives like the same baby it's cold outside aesthetic, I guess. But yeah, I love this look on Jimbo. And this paired with her performance, I think is a win. I wish that the judges would critique more, though. And I don't know if maybe they edited it out, but I think that Jimbo should have been critiqued for not having earrings on. I think that Candy should have been critiqued for almost having on a flat. You know, I wish that we would have got more of that, but I don't know. Maybe we're running out of time in the editing room. Next are the Fame Game looks. This was I wanted to like this on Monica Beverly Hills. I really did. I guess I just don't. The pink hair is cute on her. I guess I don't understand it. Maybe it's not meant to be understood. But I guess I don't understand it with the look. Oh, well, you know, actually, let me take that back. So these are the trans colors. You can really barely tell. But they're the trans colors, trans flag colors. So, okay. So the pink hair goes with that. Okay, fine. But I wish that the shorts were pants instead. I think that would have made a better look. And I think it would have come together better. And I wish that the fur around the hood was fuller. Like, it just kind of looks, I don't know, not an afterthought, but it just doesn't look, it looks a little cheapish. Like, I wish that there was just more fur around the hood. It could have been more grand. Or like a bigger hood. I think that would have been way better. Like, kind of something like Alexis did. And then I would have liked this a little bit more. And then, like, I guess the things that she has over her shoulder are supposed to be like mittens. If they had a little bit more volume or like something in them instead of being flat, then I would have liked that a lot more as well. Naysha, as usual, looks gorgeous, but it's just almost giving just Naysha at this point. And I don't really know what's missing. Like, something about Naysha's looks always kind of look plain to me. And I don't really love this headpiece because it's just so awkward. Like, I don't know if there's, like, where the wig starts and begins and where the headpiece starts and begins and what's what. It's just awkward. So I don't love that. But she looks gorgeous. Maybe, I don't know what would have taken this to the next level for me. Maybe some more padding, or maybe, I don't know. She looks good though, but it's not my fave. Like, if I feel like if she was actually in the show and came down the runway, I don't know that this will wow me. Because I feel like, okay, it's to be expected from Naysha. It looks good, but it doesn't wow me. Not in love with Kasha Davis's look, but what's new? First of all, the wig, like, no, I hate the wig, and I hate the color. Like, no, no. And then I guess she's playing with the whole, like, peed on snow thing, so it's yellow. I guess. I wish that, if that's the concept, I wish it would have been taken a little bit further. Like, maybe it would have, like, the look would have been more white than anything, and then there was, like, a little essence of yellow in it just to give that. And then she's literally just got on sparkly Uggs. So, no. Like, no. No. And I don't understand. No. This on Darian, I think Darian looks gorgeous, but I completely missed, like, the reference. I really did. Like, the thing on her hair, I didn't know what it was until it caught, like, a specific angle of light. You can't even see it in this picture, but it's like a credit card. And she's supposed to be, like, snow in terms of drugs. I don't want to say what it is, but snow and drugs. Put two and two together. So, yeah, that's this look. I think she looks gorgeous. I just didn't necessarily get it right away. But, you know, I think she looks gorgeous. I wish that the concept would have read across a little bit clearer. That's all. But she looks great. I think, honestly, for me, she would still get my Fame Games vote. That's kind of where I'm at. And voting starts, I think, soon. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, Darian will still get my vote. It's voting for this kind of like voting for the president. You're not supposed to tell people you vote for, but whatever. That's what I'll vote for. This gagged me because then the girls just kept on coming and coming. Because remember, we didn't have Fame game last week because it was a design challenge. So I'm like, where are these girls coming from? They just kept coming out. James Mansfield came out. I thought she looked gorgeous too. This was good. I liked this. Like, if this would have come out on like the regular runway, she was still in the competition. I think that I would have been, I don't know if wild-ish by it because it feels different for James, which I like. And I think she looks great. So I like this. It does look a little. There are parts of it that look a little crafty, but I think it's a good look on her, and I like it. I think Kahana looked great. I think she looks different-ish because of the makeup. It took me a while to get into the makeup, but once I got closer, I do like the makeup. However, I mean, she looks gorgeous. She's Kahana, but however, it's the same showgirl thing that we get every week. Tired ass showgirl, right? So that's my critique. I think that's gonna have to continue to be the critique because I don't see that changing. It hasn't changed this whole time. So it's just like it's a showgirl thing, and I get it. It's All Stars, so you want to come like showcase like what your drag is and who you are. And I get she's a showgirl. And I've said this before, like, I know she wanted to push that when she first came on the show and they didn't really read well. So now I think, she's got the budget and she's had some time. So now she can really show it off, but she's overdoing it for me. But she looks gorgeous. A lot of people were comparing it to the look that Lux made in a design challenge on the last season of, like, regular Drag Race, which, seems unnecessary to me, but yeah, they look similar. I didn't love it on Lux though, honestly, and I like this, but I don't love it on her either. So I don't know. I guess that's just for the sake of comparison. La La Ree, this just wasn't good. Like I appreciate the fact that it gave Black Cinderella for sure. I almost feel like she should have just kept the whole thing on instead of revealing into this leotard because it's very meh and very just like why. But I can appreciate the concept. We're getting another purple lip, which I absolutely hate. But she looks good. The illusion mesh at the top looks really good on her. I think that this is one of. What I'm gonna just say this is one of her more polished looks. It just is for me. But I still don't love it. So at the end of the day, we find out, which I've alluded to 1,000 times, that Jimbo is the winner. She's won her 4th Maxi Challenge, and I would have to agree. I think that she did the best in the roast. I think that she was the funniest, but if there was going to be another winner, like I've already said, it would be Jessica. But I think that Jimbo was consistently funnier than Jessica, and I think her delivery was better, and I think the jokes were better. So overall, I think she did better. I think she looked better on the runway. They honestly could have been neck and neck for me on the runway. But I think that Jimbo looked better. Ish. So I would have to agree. We find out that if you're not the top, who's Jimbo, then you're in the bottom. So we have a bottom 3. So the bottom is Alexis, Candy Muse, and it is Jessica Wilde. Which was scary for me because I'm like, oh my god, a bottom 3, like that's just so many queens, so much voting to be done. And to be honest, somehow I missed like who everybody voted for, so I have no idea how those cards fell. But obviously, since Jimbo won the lip sync, she voted to eliminate Alexis. I don't disagree. I think that Alexis got the harshest critiques, and I think consistently, reading between the lines, she's been getting those same critiques all season. Like, she just doesn't really push it, and she doesn't really have much of a wow factor. So I don't think anybody did bad in this challenge, but she did the worst in comparison. And I also, similarly to like the Alexis and Lala thing, I don't feel any type of way that Candy voted for Alexis as well. I know that they had that conversation, and Candy's just like, well, I got you, or whatever language she used, but it wasn't that deep for me, honestly. I feel like Alexis did the worst and she needed to go home. So I don't disagree with the way that Candy voted, even though it didn't matter. And I don't disagree with Jimbo sending Alexis home. I think it was time for her to go. So, I think that she did well, Alexis. I know I did a lot of reading of Alexis, but I think she did well. I think she did what she had to do. I think she showed us more than she showed us on her original season, but I think it was time for her to go. And I think that's perfectly fine. I also got some, a little bit of a kiki and a little bit of humor watching her get eliminated with that big duffel bag. So, it's like, yeah, girl, pack your things and go home. No shade, no tea. So, you know. And then we get to the lip sync, and the lip sync assassin is Silky. Lip sync assassin is Silky, which is super exciting because I love Silky. And this is a real lip sync assassin. We've seen the receipts. So that was exciting. But once I saw Jimbo come out with this like baloney clown character, which most of us have seen before, I just kind of knew that this is the one that she would win because it's funny and this is the one that we know what to expect. And so, and the song worked out too. I was hoping, which I kind of figured if she was going to wear it, she knew that the song would work for it. The song worked perfectly for it. Silky did good too, but Silky did what we come to expect from Silky, and I don't really think that this was Silky's jam. Like, I don't think that this was a song that really catered to Silky's aesthetic and what she can really do. But she's a great lip syncer, great entertainer. I love Silky. But yeah, I think that this was Jimbo's time, and I'm happy that she finally won a lip sync. And yeah, I think it just worked out perfect. I'm kind of confused by the fact that we're not going into a finale next week now that we're down to 3. And our top 3 is Jimbo, Jessica Wilde, and Candy, which I think if I had to say at the beginning of the competition, I could have guessed that almost. I didn't really, like I've said, I didn't really know much about Jessica's drag, but as we got into it, like it makes sense to me to see these top 3. So I'm happy about that. I think Jimbo's gonna win, so it just kind of is what it is. I'm just more so confused that next week we're doing another challenge, and it's not giving like finale. Maybe I guess we're doing a top 2, which would, in my book, I believe, be different, which is fine. But yeah, so we're gonna keep on watching and watch another regular episode of All Stars, I guess, even though there's only 3 queens, and we'll see how this works out. But for me, Jimbo's the winner. This episode was cool. The challenge was pretty funny, but we're at the end of the season, so it's just kind of like, girl, come on, let's just crown the winner and let's do what we gotta do. But yeah, that's this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.